Well, it's very nice to be here with everybody this evening. And I must say, you Americans can eat. This is called the United States of America. But you're just like us Africans, we also can eat. In Malawi, we have 150 members in the Bethel family. When I left on the 23rd of February, and the brothers announced that I was traveling to the United States and to the UK, our Bethel family rapturously applauded when they asked, can the warm love of the Malawi Bethel family be conveyed to everybody here? So please accept that warm love. Malawi. What a word. What a country. Do some of you here in the audience remember in the 1960s, 1970s, writing letters to Dr. Kamuzu Banda? How many of you wrote letters? Can you just look at this? It's amazing. Thank you for your showing of those hands. Now, you know, brothers and sisters, everybody, every one of you that wrote letters to Dr. Banda, I can tell you one thing, those letters worked. He may not have read them, but his dupes, those who were working for him, they read those letters. They often expressed, how is it that these Americans with businesses, remember some of you who wrote first, you had to have a letterhead for your business, and you had to address it to the Honorable His Excellency Dr. Kamuzu Banda, etc. Remember that? All his men wondered, how is it that these Americans, these British people, these Scandinavians wrote letters on behalf of these lowly Malawians that were being persecuted and killed? They knew that there was a family of Jehovah's faithful worshippers out there, and that never ever left their minds, because right up until today, we hear reports of at conventions, assemblies, special assembly days, people getting baptized. One or two of them in that crowd of baptism candidates were former persecutors for Dr. Banda during the persecution years. Imagine that. So Jehovah has truly given us the victory in Malawi. And the slide presentation that I'm traveling with just gives you an idea how true worship is really triumphing in Malawi. We'll watch the slides now, and then I'll have a few more thoughts to add, and then it's over to you if you have any other questions. But keep this in mind, as we go through each of the slides, notice how Jehovah's people are happy. Your brothers and sisters in Malawi love you very, very, very much. And you'll see how that is etched into the presentation here. So enjoy. Right. This is fantastic. Thank you. So there we have our theme, Theocracy in Malawi. Now that's the continent of Africa, and as you can see, that little red sliver, it looks like a little caterpillar on the map of Malawi, on the map of Africa. That's the country of Malawi. As Jehovah's people, we were banned there for nearly 26 years. The ban was imposed in October 1967, and it was lifted on the 13th of August 1993. This is a map of Malawi. As you can see, the eastern spine of Malawi is made up of Lake Malawi. To the north of Malawi, we have the country of Tanzania. I think you say Tanzania, something like that. To the west of Malawi, we have the country of Zambia. The southern peg of Malawi is caught like two hands by the country of Mozambique. And then below Mozambique, you have Zimbabwe. And below Zimbabwe, you have South Africa, right at the southern part. This is a picture of the first branch office in Malawi. This building was bought in 1959 when the first Gilead-trained missionaries arrived there. And what was interesting about this property is that it was wrongly registered when it was first bought. You see, Malawi used to be called Nyasaland. Many of the older folk here may remember that name. And the Nyasaland government, which was basically a Commonwealth government or British government, extension of the British Empire, they ruled and they decreed that every property, every asset should be registered in the name of the Commonwealth of Nyasaland. But when the brothers bought this property, they registered it in the name of the Pennsylvania Corporation. You know that? Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania. So when the ban was imposed, the Malawi government seized this property, but they didn't destroy it because they would be tampering with American property. So from an error came a blessing. The brothers should have registered it as Malawian property, but they registered it as American property. This is another slide of this building, and it's been renovated, this property. And there are 12 missionaries who work out of this missionary home, which is in the city of Blantyre. This is a slide of the new branch office in Lilongwe. That's the capital city. As you can see, it's just rain, and there you see two lovely rainbows over that building. This is another photograph of the reception area of the new branch. And here we see another slide looking at the back of the building. Right on top you see the offices, and at the bottom apartments like the kitchen, the laundry, and this is the warehouse in the background here. This is a slide of the Malawi Bethel family, and there you see the cosmopolitan mix of the family. We had many foreigners who were working there with us, but slowly they've gone back to their countries of origin. At the moment, the Bethel family in Malawi consists of 95% Malawians, and the balance of 5% represent those from other countries. This gives you a viewing of the diversity that we have in the Malawi Bethel family. As you can see, our African sisters. Then we have a sister from the Philippines and a husband. We have a Canadian sister, and even a sister from India. So we have quite a variety there. This is our Bethel receptionist. He's a very interesting brother. His name is Stephen Gumpo. It's spelled G-U-M-P-O. He's got an incredible experience. It hasn't been released in the Watchtower or the Awake magazine, but it's in the 1985 yearbook under the country of Zimbabwe. He's Zimbabwean. He was terribly persecuted. But he's truly a wonderful brother, a real encourager. He served as a pioneer, special pioneer, traveling overseas for many years. And when he animates and relates how he came into the truth, it's really an interesting thing just to watch him. This is the wife of one of our branch committee members, Chrissy Kabwazi. In total, she and her husband and her 3 children have lived in 6 camps during the ban. In fact, she says that since 1967 until they were called into the branch in 1997, they never had a permanent home. They were constantly on the move. That's a wonderful self-sacrificing spirit. Now, this massive truck in the front is a truck that comes up from South Africa branch. South Africa branch has got a very big printing plant. They have very good presses. They have a bindery line now. And so they supply all printed material for other countries, including Malawi. And there you see in the background our diminutive truck there. And so this truck offloads literature, and our truck takes that literature north and south and in the central part of the country with other vehicles following it, and they have their own literature delivery routes. Talking about the north of Malawi, here we see how our brothers on the shores of Lake Malawi convey literature. Notice the magazines are wrapped in plastic in South Africa branch. We have the literature in the boxes, but now these supplies are going on dugout canoe to a congregation that is located on an island in Lake Malawi. There he goes with the literature supplies. Can you see the magazines in front, the plastic there? Look how beautiful that water is. Even the young publishers hope one day to guide that canoe to the literature there. So they taught how to take it there. Beautiful indeed. And then, when the literature gets there, just look at that Kingdom Hall. Now, make a mental note of this picture. Many of the older Kingdom Halls in Malawi look like this. They're grass structures, they're grass roofs, and there you go. Now imagine you in this congregation, think of your own Kingdom Hall, and there the literature supplies come up from South Africa branch. They're wrapped in plastic, they're nicely organized. Wouldn't you be impressed that Jehovah is backing his organization? Our brothers in Malawi truly appreciate the work that is done by South Africa branch and the worldwide brotherhood on their behalf. This is a Kingdom Hall, and so these Kingdom Halls pack many, many people in them. This is a meeting on a Saturday afternoon. On a Sunday, the publisher figure here could easily be about 70 to about 90 publishers. But sometimes you'll find the attendances rise to about 250, 300 people for a Sunday meeting. Of course, there are 300 people and 500 mosquitoes in that kingdom. That's the inside of that Kingdom Hall. Imagine going to a Kingdom Hall like that on a Sunday morning with your nice suit, no air conditioning. There you go, that's your Kingdom Hall. Imagine that. That's our brothers in Africa. And that's fine for them because you see the sun is nicely blocked out by the grass roof. And oftentimes the dog will come inside chasing the chickens through there. There you go. Nobody worries, they just keep paying attention to what's happening in front. Now it's time for that congregation to build their own Kingdom Hall. So the brothers are very resourceful. They start molding their own bricks. They make them of mud, as you can see. And there we follow this process now. They're building their own Kingdom Hall. Remember, their Kingdom Hall was made of grass. So let's notice as we go through the finished product. There we see some of the sisters in the congregation. After those bricks have been baked, they carry them on their heads. And as they walk from the kiln, transporting those bricks, they're singing kingdom songs. You notice some of them have got babies on their backs, and they still can balance 3 bricks, a bucket of bricks, and all of that. This is an interesting Kingdom Hall that was built. It was in Nkata Bay, 300 meters above the shore. I think 300 meters for you here in the States is about 1,000 feet, something like that. So the construction materials were brought in from the shore of Lake Malawi, and they are transported to another part of Lake Malawi. So here we see the wheelbarrow, some of the brothers that are going to work there under the oversight of the Kingdom Hall construction overseer from Canada. This boat, one of the publishers in Malawi, it's called Jehovah's Witnesses of Malawi. Everybody sees that on the lake and they know, we're on the map. Jehovah's Witnesses. There we go. And so, in the local Tonga language, that's the name of the boat, Utewete, which means, I'm a witness. Or I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, if you wish. There we go. So that's a witness on its own. You notice they're on the other side of the shore of Lake Malawi now, and there we see the sisters on the banks. They're waiting for the materials to be offloaded there. There we see the sisters and some of the brothers in the background. Now they're starting to take the materials up. Notice the path on which they have to climb now. Cement, no problem for them. They keep forwarding it. Two sisters from the back will run around. Another two will pass it on, and so the story goes. They're forming this ladder, taking this up. Notice Lake Malawi has a backdrop. Look at these smiles too. Carrying a door, wooden door, for Kingdom Hall. There we have a sister. There we have a mother and the baby. Notice how she's perspiring there, but she's carrying the metal door frames there. There's some sisters behind her too. Everybody has a hand. You know, when you have a grass Kingdom Hall and now you're going to get a brick Kingdom Hall, well, it's a very big thing. There they climb up. No stairs. They just keep going. And as they go, they're singing kingdom songs, and you just walk to the rhythm of the kingdom music. Here we see them climb up higher and higher. There you see the brothers at the back. Typical African men, you see, always you have the softest job, you see. Let the woman go first, you see. Let them work hard. And there we see, look how they have to climb up. Very steep, and you know, the higher you go, the thinner the oxygen becomes. Look at those rocks that they have to climb up. It's amazing. And there we see them. Now, this one brother's jumped to the front now, you see. Just for the camera, I'm sure he's coming. After bringing up all that construction material, they go down to Lake Malawi, the sisters do, with these buckets or these pails. There they get water again. It's no problem for them to carry water on their head. There you see they're filling up this trough for building purposes. They're down again and they get some sand. They bring the sand up again. Imagine how tired we'll be if we keep doing that. Imagine how many trips down and up, down and up. Well, that makes you very hungry. This is the staple food in Malawi. I know many here this evening have asked me, what is the staple food in Malawi? This is what it looks like. It's called Nsima, N-S-I-M-A. And it's basically like your grits here in the United States, but much firmer, as you can see. And they eat that with chicken in tomato and onion gravy, or goat, or something else, fish, and so on. And it's really filling. After working hard like that, you really need a good meal. You eat with your fingers, you work it into a ball, you dip it in gravy, you put it in your mouth, and I tell you, you can work hard after that. There's the Kingdom Hall, complete. Look at the grass Kingdom Hall on the side there. Can you see that? Yeah. But look at the congregation. So proud of their new Kingdom Hall. 1,000 feet. How many trips do you think it took for all of that? It must have been many. And the work was done by our sisters and our brothers. The children were there. What a joyful event. Do you see how true theocracy is triumphing in Malawi? Look at that Kingdom Hall. Same Kingdom Hall. Look at the backdrop from the other side now. Imagine your Kingdom Hall both there. 1,000 feet in the air, and you have Lake Malawi as a backdrop. Talk about paradise. Beautiful water. Look at that. This is a sign of our Kingdom Halls in Malawi. Now the main language in Malawi is called Chichewa. C-H-I-C-H-E-W-A. I'll just translate what this means. Nyumba means a room or a house. Nyumba. Ufumu means a king or a kingdom. Mboni za Jehovah, that's us, Jehovah's Witnesses. Witnesses, Mboni, za Yehovah. That's Jehovah's name, Yehovah. So basically, by literal translation, that would read, the room or the house of the king or the kingdom of witnesses of Jehovah. Nyumba ya ufumu ya mboni za Yehovah. And everybody recognizes Jehovah's Witnesses as a people that are bringing glory to Jehovah's name. This is a kingdom hall at the base of a mountain, very famous mountain in Malawi called Mount Mulanje. The chief, when he saw this kingdom hall, he said his village is now one of the most educated villages on earth. Look at that structure. Compare it to the grass kingdom halls that they had before. As part of the Theocratic Ministry School, in many of our congregations we have a literacy class where many of the older ones are taught to read and write. We have some of the younger ministerial servants in the congregation guiding these ones through that program. This is another slide of a kingdom hall in Malawi. Look how practical, how durable these buildings are. The rain will come, the sun will come, but this kingdom hall will stand as an honor and tribute to Jehovah's name. Look at the car park there. You think you can find your bicycle in that mix of bicycles? So there we go. You come to the kingdom hall, you see the bags out there, some of them have left their bags at the door on the side. And in they go to the kingdom hall there. I tell you, you may start a meeting with 60, 65 people. But then the attendance rises and rises. People are always late in Africa, you know. And so you find people keep on coming in. Sometimes you're giving a public talk and you use this good illustration at the start. Well, then you think, oh my word, they're still coming in now, you know. The talk is going to end in 5 minutes, but people are still arriving. It's just like that. There's no hurry in Africa. There's another beautiful kingdom hall. This is the congregation called Baobab congregation because of the Baobab tree. You may have read about that tree in the Awake magazine. It's peculiar to Africa. They call it the upside down tree because it looks like it's planted upside down. You see the stems there? It looks like those are the roots of the tree, and the leaves are underground. But actually it's got its own roots there. That's another kingdom hall near the roadside. We have people traveling up and down the country and they say, man, your organization is organized. Your buildings, your churches are everywhere in Malawi. So we're very happy that they are also giving glory to Jehovah. This is one of the members of our branch committee, Jack Johansson. You may have read his life story in the Awake magazine, 1998, October the 22nd. And Jack and his wife Linda have served in Africa for over 45 years now. And he's just coming from one of those kingdom halls there. This is an interesting kingdom hall. In fact, this camp is a very interesting camp. It's actually a refugee camp now. But during Dr. Banda's rule, when he hated Jehovah's Witnesses and persecuted us there, this camp he named Dzaleka camp. And that name in Chichewa means he or we will break you. He gave it that name because he felt that out of all the refugee camps, or the camps, the death camps really, there was one that will really cause our brothers to compromise. And this was Dzaleka. But the funny thing is, no one who went to this camp compromised. Today, Dr. Panda is gone, he's dead. Dzaleka camp is still there. When the new president took over a few years ago, they turned this from a death camp into a refugee camp. Because hot on the heels of the new president coming into power, there were problems in Rwanda and Burundi, remember with the Hutu and Tutsis? And so many of those people came down through Tanzania into Malawi, and so the government kept them there. This is the kingdom hall of our brothers from Rwanda and Burundi at Dzaleka. They used to speak French here, but now they speak Kirundi and Kinyarwanda with a bit of Swahili as well at this kingdom. That's Linda Johansson, the wife of Jack Johansson. And this is a very interesting 88-year-old anointed sister. Now, she's got an interesting story. You see, there are certain parts of Malawi that are separated from Mozambique by merely a road, just a tarred road. So during the ban, this sister and her family and her husband, they moved from Malawi over the road into Mozambique. And they stayed in Mozambique. So the Malawian officials couldn't get them because they were technically in Mozambique. Well, they never saw the need to come back because when they bought at the market, that was just over the road and she just stayed right there. Okay, the persecution finished, 1993. The branch started being constructed 1998. May 19, 2001, we had our branch dedication program. And all those who had been faithful for 40 years were invited to come to the dedication. This sister and her family and her husband, who were living over the road in Mozambique, were not invited. She's Malawian. She was waiting for an invitation. So the district convention she attends is on the other side of the road in Malawi. And so at the Teachers of God's Word District Convention in 2001, she was interviewed about her faithful service, and the brother asked her as a final thought, is there one thing that has really impressed you with your time being in the truth and so on? And she started to complain before the whole convention audience. She brought up the story that she lives over the road, she's been faithful for many years, she was never invited for the dedication, she hears about the beautiful branch and she's dying to see it. Well, Jack and Linda Johansson were serving that convention. They made a special point of inviting her to Bethel. She had lunch with us as the Bethel family. They gave you the story that I just gave you now, and we were so happy to have her in our midst. What a joy to think she'll be ruling on. This is Jack Johansson with another faithful anointed brother. That's Brother Humba. He's been pioneering for 53 years. That's a member of our branch committee, Brother Lemon Kabwazi, and his wife Chrissy. We saw her early on. And he was chairman of the country committee. And he has some very interesting stories in connection with Malawi, the work in Malawi, the band. He's really one of the pillars of our branch. Here we have Linda with a sister that went out for the first time in field service with Linda Johansson. That was in 1959. They came from Gilead, they graduated in 59. They came to Nyasa land, and Linda went out in field service with this sister, who was pregnant with her first daughter. 2 weeks later, she gave birth, and she called her daughter Linda. There we have one of our young brothers, a true Malawian. Look at that face. That's him in the baptism pool. And that's him, nicely dried off, as if to say, I'm one of them now. Wonderful. As Mike mentioned earlier, Malawi is called the warm heart of Africa. And so from the people's smiles, you can see the love and the warmth that radiates from them. That was at the Godly Obedience District Convention, as you can see from the badge there. So there we have that young brother, his two other brothers. They were also baptized on that same day, and his mom. You can imagine how proud she was of her 3 boys. This is the Lilongwe Assembly Center. It's an assembly hall directly next to the branch office in Lilongwe. The occasion here was a zone overseer's visit. We had a visit from a brother from Portugal branch. His name was Douglas Guest. And we had a meeting for a few congregations in Lilongwe. Well, altogether there was about 3,500 people there. I think there could have been 35,000 people there, but they just had to keep people out because there was no space really. You'll notice this television here. In Malawi, we have an American Sign Language program. You can see some of our American brothers seated in the audience. They've been pioneering this program amongst the deaf people in Malawi, and we even have Malawi Sign Language now. So that's taken off in a very big way. Already we have 2 congregations in Malawi that deal specifically with those who are for hearing impaired problems. This is another aerial view of the Lilongwe Assembly Center directly next to the branch. And this is the board that shows us that this is an assembly center. Now, you already know Mboni za Jehovah. Remember that?
Yes.
Alright, so that's us, Jehovah's Witnesses. Malo means a place. Msonkano means a meeting. So the meeting place, or the place of meeting of Witnesses of Jehovah. That's what it is. Assembly Center of Jehovah's Witnesses. There we have the Mulanje Assembly Center. Notice, once again, nice grass roof. Not a metal roof, because it's cooler there. The sun is very, very hot there, even though it's near the mountain. Look at the stage in the background there. There we see the car park. There we see the car park too. So you may have many cars at your assembly hall or convention center. And here we see bicycles. Look at that dignified platform. That's Jehovah's people anywhere on earth. You may notice Kumvera Mulungu. Mulungu is the Chichewa word for God. Kumvera means to obey. So literally, to obey God. That was the theme of the 2005 convention. And right on top, you see Kumvera Ndi Mtima Mzonse. As you can see, taken from Romans 6 verse 17. So that basically carries the thought of being obedient from the complete or full heart. There we see our brother giving a talk there from the platform. There we see another slide of the brother giving a talk on there. Look how dignified that is. There we see the audience. Notice they're sitting on cement seats. Everybody orderly, listening. There we go. 3,000 people, 5,000 mosquitoes. Baptism in the river. As he goes down, he comes up, you'll see something moving in the water there. So there we go. The warm heart of Africa. Beautiful children. At the conventions, because so many of our brothers and sisters travel so far, they stay over at the convention site because they don't have money to travel up and down and so on. Just like you may stay over at a hotel on the weekend and so on. And so our sisters get together, the brothers are sitting all together, talking about things that men talk about, you know. There the sisters are cooking in Sima. Look how happy they are because they know they'll make their men happy, the children will be happy, they themselves are very happy. Notice the women wear that, it's like a sarong, it's called a chitenge. And that's a wrap that they keep around them. They're very, very modest. The dresses, very, very modest. We hardly ever talk about dressing grooming in Malawi because the women are very, very modest and decent when it comes to clothing styles and dressing. After cooking, this is what it looks like. You carry your own pot and your other utensils to cook at the convention site. There you go. It's been a good program. It's been a good meal. That's what it looks like in the end. Ready for tomorrow. This is the sleeping area. Notice they're sleeping on plastic sacks. They carry their katundu or their goods. They got their pots. And they also carry firewood because you need to light the fire and cook. So let's look at some of the young children now at the conventions. There we see Linda with the young child there. Here we see Jack with his little granddaughter that he would like to have. Look at those precious smiles. Children at a window. Doesn't take much to make them happy. Look at their hands. Made of cardboard. They're so little. From young, they're taught to carry things on their heads. This is a typical African village in the rural areas. This is at a place called Njelo. And when our brothers go and they do field service there, you first meet the chief of the village, and then he gives permission to chat to different people, and people come out from all those buildings there. You notice the huts are circular, right? They've got grass roofs. The reason why African houses are circular is because the Africans believe that the demons stay in corners. So they hardly ever have square houses in the villages there. They have circular houses so that the demons can't stay there and so on. Look at the village. Then our brothers build a beautiful kingdom hall right there in that village. Can you see the difference? Remember the kingdom halls we saw? Imagine how happy the chief is when a beautiful structure is built right there. Look at the transport that they use in the villages there. You can see how hot it is. He doesn't have his shirt on there. There they're making a house. They bake the bricks. They've got a grass roof. There we go. Everybody lends a hand. This is Mount Mulanje in the background there, very high. And in the foreground here we have tea plantations. When the British colonized Malawi, they planted tea. Now in Malawi, the main cash crop is tobacco. The second one is tea. And so here we have the southern part of Mount Mulanje and the tea plantations. There we have a brother witnessing there in the tea plantations. This picture is in the Isaiah Prophecy, book 2. If you go home, you will actually find this picture there in your copy. That's an example of business territory there. Witnessing to someone at the workplace. This is one of the peaks of Mount Mulanje. It's called Sapitwa. Now that's a very interesting Chichewa word, Sapitwa. It means do not go there. About 2 years ago, there was a group of 7 young medical students from the Netherlands. They came to Malawi and they climbed Mount Mulanje. And one of the girls was pressing to climb up Sapitwe. So the guide told him, no, we're not going there. It's dangerous, the oxygen is thin, we will not get there, sorry. Well, she was crazy about mountaineering, so what she did is she went on her own. And they didn't find her. They looked for her, they called in a search party. After 7 days they couldn't find her. They called off the search. They assumed she's dead. And so what they reason is, they say, on the slopes of Sapitwa, as you get closer to the top, they've got these massive cedar trees, Mulanje cedar trees. And they have these men who are cutting trees there. And so they believe that she must have been raped by them, that she could have been brutally beaten to death and cut up and used for spiritistic purposes. So how fitting that name, Sapitwa. Do not go there. Good example of obedience when violated. This is another view of Mount Mulanje right on top. Look how beautiful that is. There's a baobab tree, the sunset. And there we have a hard-working African woman carrying firewood. Any one of our sisters here would like to volunteer to carry that? And then to have a baby on your back, as they have babies on their backs. Can you see that? And they just keep going. Then you see they have girded that chitenge around them, so that doesn't make walking easy for them, but they make it, no problem. They just keep going. There we have family transport. You may have a 4x4. He's got a 2x2 bicycle. Father and children, look how happy they are. Imagine that. He had to chop that wood himself. He had to pack it on that bicycle. And it's uphill for him. But you know what? He just thinks of getting to the market and selling that wood. That's life in Africa. He's also taken that to the market. He looks like he's got a few problems there with his bicycle. There we have one of our brothers witnessing to one of these vendors. Just look what they pack on the back of those bicycles. It's amazing, isn't it? How many chairs is there? It's got chairs and tables, like the whole house on there. Notice the village in the background there. There you have a towaway company. You know, we have an expression for something like this. TAB. That's Africa, baby. There are many things which look so strange, they look so funny, you cannot explain them. You have to just capture them on film and say, TAB. That's Africa, baby. I knew you'd recognize that. Look how happy he is. That's what he's made as well, from grass. Don't you think they qualify for Albuquerque Airport? There we have the young children with some of their cars that they play. Anybody still hungry? Jennifer, you didn't put that dish out there. So this slide is called the Mouse Man. As you can see, he's caught a lot of mice. He's boiled them in water. They've gone hard because he's thrown some salt on them, and then he skewered them on a bamboo rod. And there he sits by the side of the road. He's got a tree there for some shade. He's got his radio in the background. He's listening to the latest soccer commentary and music that comes. And there he sits on the side of the road and he points this out to passers-by. TAB. There you go. Now, some of these mice haven't been bled, so some of them still have blood in them, and that's why, as Jehovah's Witnesses, we try to stay away from that because of food with blood inside. Of course, the local Malawians, many of them who are not Jehovah's Witnesses, when they eat that, they say it's like biltong or like your jerky, I think, you know. And you buy about 2 or 3 of them, you put that in the pot, put that in sima, you eat that, and you just see them pulling it like, and they chew it away, and they thoroughly enjoy that. So when you come to Africa, one of the nicest things to do is to go on safari as well. And of course we don't have wild animals roaming the streets. Many people have asked me, oh, do you have lions walking the street? No. These are in certain national parks. Of course, in Lilongwe, in Malawi, we have hyenas at night. And you can actually hear them laughing at night. But this is the giraffe in the South Luangwa National Park, which is located in Zambia, near Malawi's border. Here you have the zebras. You say the zebras. Isn't Jehovah an amazing creator?
Yeah.
He takes a donkey, puts black and white stripes on, and there you have an animal that is so beautiful. There you have a buck. He's really working on eye contact. There you have a baby elephant. He should be with the other pack. They're normally about 7 to about 20 of them, but he's on his own. Not very pleased to see visitors in the vehicle, safari vehicle. There you see a lioness. She looks like she's had a very good meal. There you see another lioness. She looks like she's looking for a good meal. Coming back to Lake Malawi, there you see the hippos, the hippopotamuses. What's interesting about the hippos, wherever you see the hippos, you must know that the water is very shallow there. So they're standing on the ground, you see. They don't stand where it's very deep. They can't because they're so heavy. Of course, they're very dangerous as well. You don't fool around with them because that is what may happen when you come too close. So imagine being caught there. There's the shore of Lake Malawi. Isn't that a paradisaic picture? It's like Hawaii, like any beautiful Californian beach. There you have sunset, the shores of Lake Malawi. And the African sunsets are absolutely special. I know you have good sunsets here as well, but we have, just look at that. Brilliant indeed. There we have another sunset on the shores of Lake Malawi. So brothers and sisters, one thing is certain. Jehovah is causing true worship to triumph in Malawi. The kingdom work is moving ahead at an alarming rate. And what we've seen by means of these few slides is just a glimpse of the worldwide family that we have as Jehovah's people. Our brothers in Malawi love you very, very, very much. They're working very hard. And so we're very happy to know that we have an international family of loyal praisers of Jehovah. And we thank our great God for giving us the increase that He's providing now in the time we live. So there we've had just a few impressions of our brothers and sisters in Malawi. And as you can see from there, Jehovah is blessing us with rich theocratic increase. As I mentioned in the preamble, we have 65,708 faithful praises of Jehovah in Malawi. 65,000. Now that's an interesting figure because when the ban was imposed in October 1967, there were only 18,000 witnesses in Malawi. Well, during the nearly 26 years of the ban, that figure increased by 12,000. Persecution increased, 12,000. Imagine that. So when the ban was lifted in 1993, that figure sat at 30,000 witnesses. From 1993 up to 2005, in Malawi alone, we've seen an increase of 35,000 new praises of Jehovah. Isn't that amazing? We're very pleased that at the moment we are running at an 8% increase. Brothers, it's just amazing. The memorial attendance is about 192,000 plus. We sometimes receive the memorial attendance figures, and elders in certain congregations say they've counted people, they've chopped that figure in half, but still it's a record. There's the attendance. It's just so much more. And that's a good figure to actually estimate things, because generally we don't attend a memorial twice on one night. Whereas a convention, you may go to more than one convention. So we know that in Malawi, we've got about 192,000 people who are interested in the kingdom work. We're also very pleased to know that the governing body has given us approval to host a ministerial training school in the main language in Malawi. And just next to that assembly center that you saw, there's a building that's being constructed now. It's an MTS facility, and from September, the Chichewa Ministerial Training School will begin. Now that's another challenge for us. We're very happy about that. But the thing is, in Malawi, in Chichewa, we don't have some of the main textbooks that you need for a ministerial training school. For example, we don't have Revelation, its grand climax at hand. That's not in Chichewa. That's not in Tumbuka, the second important language. That's not in Yawa. We don't have pay attention to Daniel prophecy. In Tumbuka, we have it in Chichewa now, second time around, we have it. But we don't have it in Tumbuka. So our brothers who speak Tumbuka are doing worship the only true God. We don't have any section of the New World Translation in any of our main languages. So that's why our Bethel family sits at 150 members. It's because the translation team has been boosted and beefed up. They've got translators in there like you cannot believe. And they're working on projects, secret projects, and goodness knows what. So very soon we'll have this flood of Theocratic publications. Of course, if we don't have the New World Translation, then we don't have insight on the scriptures. So it's just a story like that. So despite all of that, we have 8% increase. Isn't that amazing? True worship triumphing in Malawi. There are so many positive things to say. And you know what's interesting about our brothers and sisters in Malawi is that none of them, not one of them, are bitter because of the persecution. They all rejoice that Jehovah has given us the victory. In fact, at Psalm 147 and verse 15, the psalmist says, Jehovah is sending his saying to the earth. With speed, his word runs. That's Psalm 147 verse 15. Brothers, all we can say is, in Malawi, Jehovah is sending his saying, and his saying is running at lightning speed. So we're very happy with the increase that's taking place there. We see how young people in Malawi are really doing so much by having the truth as the centerpiece of their lives. So many have come into Bethel as Bethelites. Others have gone into the ministerial training school in Zambia and will be going through in Malawi as well. Others have become special pioneers. Some have gone into the traveling work as well. The truth means everything to our brothers and sisters in Malawi. So to all you young ones here, and to those who are not actively associated with Jehovah's organization, recognize one important point from our brothers in Malawi. The truth means everything to us. It is the only organization, the only career that is lasting, and it will be with us forever, time indefinite. Why not start building now for the future? You've seen some of the young people getting baptized. They're eager students. They take the truth seriously. You listen to the singing at conventions. It's heartwarming. It's touching. So true worship is really triumphing in Malawi. And of course, we thank you, brothers and sisters, in the United States so very, very much. You know, Malawi has fallen on hard economic times in recent months and recent years. Many people in Malawi rely upon the rain to plant maize or corn, as you say. When the rain doesn't come, the crop gets destroyed. So our branch has to write to the governing body asking for relief funds. And that money comes like that. And we know that that's because of your generous giving. Also, our kingdom halls in Malawi, we could never, ever, ever build kingdom halls the quality that you see there with what the local Malawian brothers get as salaries in Malawi. So thank you for your fine contributions to all the worldwide work. Wonderful. We really appreciate what you've done on our behalf. So we want you to know that we love you very, very, very much. We're proud to be collaborators with you as we work together for the sanctification of Jehovah's great and sacred name. Thank you. Questions, maybe we can spend a few minutes. You know, I've had my meal. Looking forward to my bed too. It's nice being here with all of you. So if you have any questions, why don't you ask them and I'll try and answer them. Mike, this is a dangerous question. I should have asked him last.
How many kingdom halls have you built?
Hey, thank you for reminding me. Thank you. So, this is an interesting one. Thank you. No, that's a good question. Sorry, it's not a dangerous one. I'm so big and tall, I step over the microphone. We don't want Mike to be out of pocket now. He told us these are So, since January 2000 until January 2006, in Malawi alone, we've built 887 kingdom halls. How many have you done here in the United States? But brothers, there you see. And look at the kingdom halls. You know, the chiefs are so impressed. At some of the dedication programs on the kingdom halls, it's African custom, even at a funeral, for the chief to say something. So before the dedication program begins, the chief says a few words. Because the kingdom hall is on his turf, you see, on his land. And he stands up there and he thanks Jehovah God and the organization. And he says, you know, my other friend who's a chief down there, he doesn't have a building yet. It's such a precious thing. And they all wish that they could have a building like this. And when they hear, we have a Theocratic ministry school. We have textbooks that teach us how to speak, to preach, teach. The old people learn how to read and write. The young people do the same. Oh, they're just so impressed. This is Jehovah's Spirit-directed organization on the map in Africa. And of course, our assembly centers, we have as a target 45 of them throughout the country. We've already completed 13 of them. So you can see they're big structures as well, and many of our district conventions are held there, and civil assemblies and special assembly days as well. Okay. Our brother?
You mentioned the camps. Are those the camps, are those the offshoots, what's left over from those, enough Malawi to go to Mozambique?
Yes. So when the persecution started up, the brothers fled to Zambia. There were camps in Zambia. The one camp in the north of Zambia was called Sinda Misale. One in the southern part was called Mlangeni. And down at the south, remember Mozambique is like two hands that catches Malawi. We had a very big camp there called Carico. C-A-R-I-C-O. Carico was massive. In fact, it was divided into different sectors. And then you also had the camp called Milanje, which was in Mozambique as well. And then just above in Tanzania, there were also a few camps there. So our brothers fled to all those areas. Now Chichewa is the largest Theocratic language in Africa. Much bigger than Swahili. It's spoken in certain parts of Tanzania, near the Malawi border on top. In Zambia, the eastern part of Zambia. In Mozambique as well. In Zimbabwe, and even in certain parts of northern South Africa, you find Chichewa there as well. So it's a massive, massive language. But still, we don't have the New World Translation. You see the need for translation? There we go. Brother Lewis, I think his name. Not anymore. But of course, when you serve in a country that's been on the ban for nearly 26 years, you just don't know how things can change overnight. As you've seen from certain parts of the earth, and particularly from Africa, rulers, their power goes to their head, and things just turn overnight. And that's what happened in 1967. We were fine. Dr. Banda somehow liked us. Overnight. Out with the missionaries, stamp out these people who don't want to buy my party card. Overnight. And for nearly 26 years, he tried to make us an example to the rest of the world. Well, all he did was show what a fool he was, and Jehovah, the greatest victor in the universe. So, in Malawi at the moment, we have a favorable season. Many people are attaching themselves to the truth, but you just cannot say, because governments chop and change. Look what's happening in Zimbabwe at the moment, and in other countries as well. So there you go. Sister?
Can you give us an example of something you would say to one of the people you meet as a presentation?
Presentation. Mulibwanji, that means hello. In English, yeah. Oh, I see in English, okay. Well, in English, it's the big difference with the United States and with Malawi is you don't quickly go into the presentation. So here, for example, if you have a magazine or a tract, you'd say, for example, you ring the doorbell and you'd say, "Good morning. Have you ever wondered how we can enjoy a happy family life?" And you see the person on that, we have this tract that you can read later on, yeah, and so on. And the person is closing the door. Now that doesn't mean to say that everybody in Malawi listens to us, you know. Just like in Jesus' day, not everybody listened to him. But in Malawi, when you come to a home, you must now first start by telling the person who you are. So you come and you say, "Hello, my name is so-and-so," and they shake hands a lot. In fact, there's a Chichewa expression that says, "Chikondi chiri manja," which means love is in the hands. So they love to shake hands. So you come, you explain who you are. "My name is Cyril Goldstone, I live there, and this is what I'm doing." So you tell them about yourself first. Once they more or less happy with figuring you out and all of that, then now you say, "Okay, fine, now we're talking to people about the Bible's message of a beautiful paradise. Do you read the Bible?" "Oh yes, I read the Bible." There you go. And so you take it from there. So it's a bit of a different sort of thing. You can't just go straight into the question and leave them standing. Because if you do that, sometimes they'll say, "So where are you from? What is your name?" and so on, you see. Then you're like, "Oh, okay, fine, now let me start it over." So it's very different from what you have here. Sister?
Do you have traveling brothers and sisters that go to each congregation to help build a new kingdom hall?
Yes, we have groups. At the branch, there's a Kingdom Hall construction desk. And so we have a group at the branch that has brothers in the field that spearhead the program, working along with the local congregation like you saw. So you have skill builders, and they just giving direction to different groups. They call Kingdom Hall construction servants. They live with the brothers, eat with them, work with them, and brothers from the branch visit periodically just to oversee and to check on quality control.
So, we're in the presentation in English, but can you give a short presentation in language that's
In Chichewa. Can I give it in Chichewa? Well, I read some Chichewa for you there. There you go. Yes.
I noticed that on one of your slides you showed a typical village. I want to know, do the brothers, actually I have a two-part question. Do the brothers and sisters typically witness just in their village, and also I want to know what kind of secular work they do?
Right, so that's the rural part of Malawi. There's a lot of the rural part. But you have cities as well, not built up like cities here in the United States. There's cities with roads. In Lilongwe, we only have one working traffic light now. That gives you an idea as to the sort of city that is. And there are people everywhere. So they have the market, which is a big thing in Africa, and you can buy anything at that market. You can ask Mike and Jennifer about markets. The Brockmans have also been to some markets in Africa too. So there are many things you can buy there and so on, you see? And so people are always there, and so you go there, and so on. So that's the scene there, okay? And attached to the towns, you have like little communities or suburbs, and people live there, and so that's territory as well. And so we preach there as well. Many of the brothers, as I mentioned, they are subsistence farmers. They may live in a city, but they have a village where they're from, and they grow maize and all that. They periodically go away. One of the members of our branch committee, Lemon Kawazi, he's got a garden. He's at Bethel on the branch committee, but he goes in December, silently goes. He comes back at the end of January. When he comes back, how are you, Brother Kawazi? No, fine. Oh, so you went to Balaka? Yes, I went to my garden. So he went. So he's at Bethel, but he's got his garden out there, you see. Then he goes again in May to harvest the corn and all of that. So they're still very much attached to that. And there are some others that do other things, related to city life as well. So that's generally, the work that they do, right? Sister?
You were mentioning that the sisters, they dress very modestly, and that's not really something that you recommend. What would be the major spiritual dangers or concerns?
Right. So we know as Jehovah's people, immorality, dishonesty, stealing, right? Those are problems around the world. One thing I must clear up, never say, oh, the brothers in Africa, they don't have materialism like we. Have you heard yourself saying that? That's not true. In fact, when you are poor, you can be more materialistic than a rich person. Because if you're poor, you don't have any money, you may see your friend or your boss with a gold watch. Maybe he lives in a much better house than you. And so now you think to yourself, hey, how can I get that? How can I? Aren't we like that as humans? What is that? That's materialism. That is some form of covetousness. So whereas here in the West you have materialism in a different form, get a bigger, better, nicer, and so on, right? But in Africa, even in poor parts, you find that desire is still in people's hearts. But the main problem is spiritism. You have spiritism here too. Harry Potter, the latest movie, I believe that's full of spiritism. I gave this presentation in Boston, and I went on and on about spiritism, and one of the brothers said, yeah, Brother Goldstone, we have spiritism here too, Harry Potter, and some spiritism, something jumping around in the movie or something like that. So there we go. Now, why is spiritism such a big problem? Well, basically, it's because of the way we grow up in Africa. And the point is this, that when you go to a doctor, let's say you have a stomach ache or so, you go to a doctor, the doctor examines you and he says to you, you know what, I don't know what's wrong with you. Now you think to yourself, you don't know what's wrong with me? You're a medical doctor? That's strange. And you think, wait a second, maybe someone has cast a spell on me. So let me go to the witch doctor to get some medicine to override that spell. You may remember in the January the 15th Watchtower that we studied recently, there was an article entitled, Oppose the Devil and He Will Flee From You. Remember that Watchtower? If you look at the last section of that watchtower, it was all about spiritism. Don't think people can cast a spell on you, and so on and so forth. Very good material for Africa. In fact, as a country, we've had local needs parts on our service meeting that have been directed towards spiritism and helping the brothers understand Jehovah's view of spiritism. Because you could have baptized individuals in the Christian congregation that because they're sick, because a family member is sick, they disappear to the witch doctor. And so there we lose them spiritually. Isaiah chapter 30 says, the highway of holiness, no unclean one will enter upon. Standards are standards. Jehovah's lofty standards will always be maintained. And for us in Malawi, that means maintaining standards even in connection with spirits, because that's a big problem. Let's have our last question. One more, because of the time. Brother, just forget your name. The green jersey, yeah? In Malawi. Right. So the main religion was Dr. Banda's religion, that was Presbyterian. He schooled in Scotland and he brought a form of Presbyterian church. It's called CCAP, the Church of Central African Presbyterian. And then we also have Muslims, because the president that came after Dr. Banda was Muslim. So we have lots of mosques. In fact, in Africa you find lots of Muslims. But they're Muslims in name only. They read the Bible, they come to the Kingdom Hall, they come to the conventions. That's a funny thing. And we have other nominal churches like Baptists, Pentecostals springing up as well. And Jehovah's Witnesses, we're on the map, we're right there. So we see wonderful theocratic increase taking place in Malawi. Brothers, I just want to say once again, our brothers and sisters in Malawi love you all very, very, very much. We pray about you. As a worldwide family, we know Jehovah views us as all special. So keep up your fine work. And we pray and hope that you may continue to engage in the most important work that He's commissioned for our day. Because unitedly, we'll be honoring His very sacred